A warm welcome to this short update video titled, Who is the Dragon? Today is May 25th, which marks the anniversary or memorial of the crucifixion day of Jesus in the year AD 31. What you see here are the last two videos on the Pope topic, who is Peter the Roman, and the last act in the drama. In the first video, this one here, we tried to figure out who is Peter the Roman. And in that video, we equated Peter the Roman with the man of sin. Then came the second video, the last act in the drama. There we found out that the man of sin isn't directly the Pope, but rather Mr. Trump. So, the question is still open. Who is Peter the Roman? And who is the dragon? Here we've got the text from the sixth bowl of wrath, which we already explained in detail in the last video. We've got the beast, that's clear, Leo the 14th, representing the papacy in this case. Then we have the false prophet. In the last video, we found out that this is Trump. He's also the man of sin, the son of perdition. Both of them are thrown into the lake of fire, but the dragon isn't, or not yet, anyway. So, in the last video, I said we need to stay alert in the coming days and try to figure out who the dragon is, because he has to speak too. Just a refresher. When does the hour of Armageddon begin? It starts on May 28th, as shown in the previous video. I also said that all three of these entities have to speak first, because it's from their mouths that the demonic spirits come out, which then go to all the kings. So, one thing is already clear. Leo the 14th is the peace pope. That's his message. Even on the balcony when he was elected, he made it crystal clear what his theme would be and spoke to the whole world. Peace be with you. Everyone knows him as the peace pope, and he willingly offered the Vatican as a venue for peace talks. He even invited others to hold talks there. And all this happened right during the core time frame of the sixth bowl of wrath. Now let's look at Trump. Trump is basically the ultimate peace president. He even claimed he could bring peace between Ukraine and Russia within 24 hours. He's constantly working behind the scenes, especially over the past few weeks, trying to set up talks and broker peace. He was even involved in the idea that those talks could take place at the Vatican. And that, too, happened right during the core time of the sixth bowl of wrath. And as he himself said, he believes he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, which, frankly, is a bit of a joke. But the news is full of it. Just Google it yourself. Now, what's the core time? I already explained that in the last video. The lunar bowl travels from Orion's hand down to Sagittarius A star, and when the Father and the Son are in agreement, that marks the beginning of the core time for the outpouring of the bowl of wrath. So then, who's standing in the way of all this peace? Right now, it looks like it's Putin. He still hasn't stopped bombing Ukraine. Just today, it's in the news again. Putin refused to come to the Vatican. On top of that, there's an international arrest warrant out for him, so that makes things really complicated. And even the Orthodox Pope has expressed that he supports Putin and this war. So he's not against the war either. That's today's news. This image here is from the last video. So now we've already seen Trump, the false prophet, and the beast, Leo the 14th. Both of them have spoken. The theme was peace. Who's still missing? The dragon. He still has to speak. Who is it? So we need to identify the dragon before May 28th. And don't forget, I pointed to these two dates and said that we need to figure out what people will do on this earth to provoke the Father so deeply that he will finally pour out the 7 last plagues, all in one day on June 22nd. I hope you remember, and if not, please watch the last video again. What is it that makes Jesus so angry that he will close the door of mercy on June 4th? So once again, this is the 6th lunar hour we're currently in, almost at the very end. 2 of the 3 entities have already spoken. What about the third one? Did we miss something? Did we overlook who the dragon is? Just a reminder, this is the 7th bowl of wrath hour. That's the hour of Armageddon, as we discussed in the last video. So, has the dragon already spoken? This here is another slide from the previous video. It's clear. Revelation 12, verses 3 to 5, we see the great red dragon and then the scene with the woman. And she gave birth to a son, who was then caught up to God. I said that this was literally Mary, and of course, literally the child Jesus, who was later taken up to God. All of that is correct and clear. So, Satan himself, he was working through the Roman Empire, just as explained in the video. And the attack was aimed at the child Jesus. So, the dragon, Satan himself, chose an earthly beast, namely the Roman Empire at that time, to do his work. And when we take a closer look, it was King Herod the Great, or the King of the Jews, as he was called, who sent Roman soldiers to Bethlehem to kill the little baby Jesus. That's the literal fulfillment of this passage. Let's briefly read something about King Herod. He was a client king. Herod was a king in the service of Rome, and he was officially appointed king of Judah by the Roman Senate. He was extremely loyal to Rome, and he was a skilled diplomat toward the shifting Roman rulers and the land of Judea. He was neither an ethnic Roman nor a Roman citizen, but a vassal with significant autonomy. So, in summary, he was an Idumean Arab ruler who was formally Jewish, but never fully recognized as such. Politically, he was a loyal client of Rome, without being ethnically or civically a Roman. So we're looking for someone like that in modern-day Rome. So the dragon must have some connection to that Roman beast. I explained in the last video how this Roman Empire, this Roman beast, developed over time. It transitioned into papal Rome with both religious and political power. Then in 1798, the political power was taken away. Then political power returned through the Lateran Treaty in 1929. And from there, the wound began to heal. You know from the last video when that wound is considered fully healed. One way or another, if we want to identify the dragon, we need to look to Rome. And we used King Herod as the template. The dragon is described as fiery red, scarlet red, in Revelation 17, and he is a skilled diplomat. And since the other two entities have already spoken about peace, it would make sense that the dragon speaks too. I'm sorry, dear friends, but it's Cardinal Secretary of State Parolin, shown here in scarlet red robes, the chief diplomat of the political Vatican, just as Herod was a successful diplomat for Rome. Lucifer, Satan, is, of course, clever. He works behind the scenes, hidden, calculated, discreet, so that he's not immediately recognized. And we almost missed it again. First, we recognized him, then we got caught up with identifying the man of sin. But now it's becoming clear. Mr. Parolin is the dragon himself. He stands sort of in between. He's not the white pope, not directly, but he works behind the scenes, just like I already explained in the Peter the Roman video. It's just like Herod. He was king of the Jews, but he wasn't really Jewish, and he was totally loyal to Rome. Parolin was born in 1955, and he's lived in the background through the papacies of all the popes since the Second Vatican Council. Just look at this picture again. Here we see the 7 popes, or the 7 kings, of the religious kingdom since the Vatican II Council. 5 have fallen. 1 is, of course, that was Francis, and the other who is to come is Leo XIV. That's clear. This is the religious count of these kings. Please keep in mind, Mr. Parolin was already alive while all these popes were in power. And when he took office, he naturally served as the number 2 in the Vatican, both under Francis and now under Leo XIV. Now let's read the political description again in verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. We've just identified how Parolin is one of the 7. He lived through the whole period. But we're trying to focus on the beast that the dragon specifically uses, and that is political Rome. As you know, in the Middle Ages, it was, and then it was not. And afterward, the wound healed, and it became the 8th. I explained in the last video how that healing took place. And I also said there that, in reality, there's really only one major beast left, namely the 8th. And that's exactly what we're seeing. It's Satan himself who will once again persecute the remnant of her seed. Just as the dragon once used King Herod to pursue the Christ child. I can only recommend you watch both videos we've already made on this topic. Also, the one specifically about Mr. Parolin, because it's simply accurate. He really is Peter the Roman, Petrus Romanus, but he is not the man of sin. That's Trump. But even worse, he is the dragon himself. So how did Parolin, as the dragon, let this voice be heard during the core time of the 6th vial being poured out? You've probably seen it in the news. Cardinal Parolin receives prize, serving the Pope for a just world. Cardinal Parolin receives the Path to Peace Foundation's award. He said he accepted it on behalf of the Secretariat of State, which works tirelessly for the Pope, etc., etc., etc. The name of the award is Path to Peace. Here's the medal he received. And when did he receive it? On May 19th, right in the core time of the 6th bowl of wrath. He said, I accept it on behalf of the Holy See and above all on behalf of the Secretariat of State, which works tirelessly for and on behalf of the Roman Pontiff to advance the cause of peace and justice in our world. What's the theme? Peace. He received a Peace Award. And now that we know he represents the dragon, this really is the height of it all. But I'll come back to that. Now, how did his voice go out? Just like the beasts and the false prophets already had. Here we see Parolin with Guterres. Let's read. The Vatican's Secretary of State, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, addressed UN representatives at the entity's New York headquarters during a May 19 reception in honor of Pope Leo's election. The Cardinal, who that same evening in New York received the Path to Peace Award from the non-profit Path to Peace Foundation, etc., etc. So, on May 19, this dragon spoke at the UN, right there where the kings of the earth sit. And that same evening, he gets the Peace Prize. And just one day before, on May 18, Leo XIV, the Peace Pope, is crowned. So we see one day after another, it's all about peace. And then also on May 20th, 2025, these two gentlemen meet again for internal talks. What do you think the topic is? Peace. So remember these dates. May 18th, Leo XIV crowned. May 19th, Parolin speaks at the UN. May 19th as well, he gets the Peace Prize. May 20th, meeting with Guterres, the UN chief. That's how he speaks. That's how the dragon speaks. Here's a picture of the speech at the United Nations. As you see here, it's about the noble aspiration for peace, pillars of peace, and the pursuit of peace. You see it? All three entities have raised their voices. All have spoken about the same topic, peace and security. And now you know who these three entities are and how they've let their voices ring out, and how the dragon himself, as the last of the three, has spoken, and how now their spirit has gone and will go to the kings of the earth, namely through the UN, where the dragon himself has already spoken. And now we've actually found out that when they say in 1 Thessalonians 5, peace and security, then destruction will come suddenly. Now it all just makes sense. You probably remember this slide from the last video. I've listed the core dates here, how the final steps and events are, how the Father announces and proclaims the time. Please watch the last video. But now we want to look at the bigger picture, and I've depicted that here. You see here the sign of the Son of Man, or rather the sign of Jonah. You have comet K2 here, and you have comet E3 here. Please watch our last short videos. We reported exactly on what they indicate and what all these intersections at the pendulum clock mean. You have G3 here again, forming the heart sign, and passing through Sagittarius A star, which stands as a symbol for the Father. That's how the Father proclaims the time from heaven. Now please pay close attention. Here we have the constellation of Eridanus. And G3 here crossed this river on May 19 to 20. So that was the first day of the Passover week in the year 31, May 20. And that led to Jesus being crucified on May 25. Today, as I'm recording this video, is the anniversary of that. That's why we also called for the Lord's Supper yesterday, May 24th, on Telegram and other chat groups. Eridanus, depending on the context, is the serpent that will strike Jesus in the heel. And we've known this for 15 years. Here's Orion. That's Jesus depicted in heaven as our high priest. And here you see Jesus' heel. And here you see this serpent that wants to strike him in the heel. But Jesus will crush his head. That's the image in this context. So you already see this great battle depicted here. Then we have Phaeton here in the river. We've made videos about it. Please just watch them. This here is a depiction of Jesus in the river. And the dove comes down when he was baptized. And the baptism, of course, stands for his death and his resurrection. Then we have this part of the river that's outside the sign of the Son of Man. And here, the 7 churches of Revelation are also depicted. But here, it's said about Laodicea, this church will be spewed out. This here is the part of the spewing out and stands for Laodicea. So you see symbolically depicted here the part of Protestantism that's spewed out. Because you need to know the Seventh-day Adventists, as I explained in the last video, represent the core of Protestantism. But the organization has fallen, and here is the spewed out part of it, along with all the others who no longer want to protest. This is the final battle, the final attack depicted here. But Eridanus is also the river of blood, the river of water from the side of Jesus. Here we have the Orion Nebula as a symbol for the side wound, while here we see the 2 foot wounds and here the 2 hand wounds of the high priest in heaven. And from his side wound, as we know, flowed water and blood. That's depicted here. And we also know that life is in the blood. Look up here for a moment. God sent another comet, namely S4, and we've reported on it. It comes here from Cetus, the whale, from Satan. Satan is depicted here in heaven with Cetus in this story. And here comes S4 and pulls the good, unchanged blood to its side through the mRNA vaccine. We've reported on that. Then this comet follows the path all the way to the sculptor, and that's a symbol for the attack of the LGBT movement, the same-sex marriage movement. And then this comet comes and goes straight into the pendulum of the horologium. And you know that's where the blood flows when the wine press is trodden. A terrifying depiction in heaven, but that was the attack, as I described in detail in the last video. That's also how the wound of the beast was healed. And now G3 crossed this river here exactly on the evening of May 19. And now this final attack of the dragon makes even more sense. Here all the attacks are visible in the firmament. Also, the attack against the remnant of her seed by the dragon. What makes the Father and Jesus so angry that Jesus will close the door of mercy on June 4th, and after that, the 7 last plagues will fall? Who is the Prince of Peace in Isaiah 9:6? Isn't it Jesus? And just on May 19, the dragon here gets the Peace Prize, which neither Francis nor Leo nor Trump, no matter how much he wants it, received. What drove people to do this? What were they thinking? What spirit possessed them to do such a thing? They're completely deceived. That is what now prompts Jesus to end mercy, to close the door of mercy. And the Father is so angry that he will pour the plagues. Now the cup is full. The world has chosen the dragon as the Prince of Peace. Isn't the dove a symbol of peace through the Holy Spirit that settled on Jesus at his baptism? It's certainly not the three demonic spirits that come out of the mouths of the three entities. What has the world done here? What's the Peace Prize called? Path to Peace. Isn't Jesus the way, the truth, and the life? That's it. Everything's been said. The threads are tied together. Please watch both videos. Time is running out. May God be with you who are awake, who have the true commandments of God in your hearts, and who keep protesting. Hold fast. It's as I said in the last video. Jesus is coming to our aid soon. Amen.